Welcome to
NSCoder Chicago.
Welcome to
NSCoder Chicago.
Welcome to
NSCoder Chicago. NSCoder Chicago.
Welcome to
Hi, everyone. You're listening to the NSCoder Chicago podcast. Today, we're covering topics related to iOS development, Apple platforms, and technology news. My name's Sean Walter.
And my name is David Vision. NSCoder Chicago is a monthly meetup that meets at the last Tuesday of every month, usually. This December, we are meeting, is it on December 17th for the holiday event?
On the 16th?
The 16th.
On the 16th, we'll be meeting at Logan Arcade. It's a barcade in the Logan Square neighborhood off Western and Fullerton. All are welcome.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good time to just meet other people in the community, chat, and have a pretty informal and chill time together. When we get back to things in January, I expect, we normally have presentations covering iOS topics, usually development related, but sometimes just tech related in general, including AI sometimes. And yeah, it's a good time. So check out the NSCoder Chicago meetup website at meetup.com/NSCoder Chicago. Is that right? Or
Yep, yeah.
maybe you can just search NSCoder Chicago.
Yeah, and if you search for NSCoder Chicago or even just Chicago Apple Meetup, you'll find us. Our website is nscoder-chicago.com. We're out there. We're on the internet.
Yes. So last week, or last episode, we talked a little bit about what a CEO succession might look like. And right after we chatted about that, there was headlines about an executive shuffle at Apple. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Perfect timing. I mean, that's with podcasts, I think you're always chasing the news because it takes a little while to record and then get it out there. 'Cause
Right.
I think it was as we were recording,
Mm-hmm.
the head of sort of environmental impact and chief counsel announced that they were departing. And so Apple's going to bring in a new chief counsel and move the environmental responsibility under operations. And so this, this might be the most boring thing in the world to you, dear listener, but I've seen these hot takes that are like, oh, Apple's in trouble. All these people are leaving. But I really don't see that. I think any big company has succession plans, has very talented people ready to go.
Right.
And so and even the fact that they're effectively deleting a specific executive in charge of environmental impact and responsibility, like, I don't think that changes anything. I think Apple is still committed to their carbon neutral goals and their sustainability goals. And even though they don't say it out loud during the Trump administration, still their DEI goals. Like,
Right.
I don't think any of that has changed. I think it's just, moving people around.
Sure.
And that's the natural order of thing. I can't imagine that these people would stay on forever, especially once their stock is worth many millions.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know how millionaires do it. If I had many millions of dollars in Apple stock, I would not be showing up for work. I would be.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah. Oh, I would not. Yeah. You know what I might be willing to do, actually, is just seed a few companies that do things I'm interested in.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd want to stick to the 9 to 5. But, if they do the work and I just call the shots, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. So if you're listening and you've got millions of dollars in Apple stock, hook David up. Let him.
Yes, please. I'll take it.
Let him start those companies.
I did have a thought about the environment executive. I forgot her name. You mentioned it. I believe that they made some promises to hit by 2030. And the one thing that I was thinking was, like, I hope they're still on track for that she's not leaving because they might not achieve that.
No, I think they're still on track. I mean, there is some fuzziness. I don't know if everyone follows every news piece, but I think Germany said that Apple's claims of carbon neutral were kind of fishy. But they're pushing in the right direction. I don't think that's changed. I think with all their data centers, they're investing heavily in solar and geothermal. Every new store opening has some note about, it's fully sustainable,
Mm-hmm.
the materials, the electricity,
Mm-hmm.
it's all good. Yeah, I pulled up the executive page again, spending a lot of time here. I must have it bookmarked.
Yeah.
But Lisa Jackson is the VP in charge of environment, policy, and social initiatives.
Okay.
And so what I hope this means is that they're rolling it into the operations team, and it is mature. When you're first starting an initiative, you need an expert, you need a figurehead, you need somebody that owns it
Mm-hmm.
specifically. And now I think hopefully it's baked into Apple's DNA, and it's just part of operations. It's how they build products and how they hire people and, all those good things.
Okay, so it sounds like you don't have any real concern about the shuffle.
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to talk about it again is
Mm-hmm.
because I've seen these takes that are like, "Oh, Apple's in trouble," or "This means something is changing." But I I really don't see that. As much as anyone, any amateur from the outside can know, I don't think that this is indicative of any policy change.
Yeah.
It was also funny that I think John Gruber on Daring Fireball covered it, and uh, there was unsubstantiated news that Johnny Sharugi,
Mm-hmm.
the VP of hardware technology, that basically was part of the acquisition that built all the Apple Silicon.
Oh, okay.
There was a news item that he was looking to retire, and then
Oh.
Apple leaked his internal memo to his team, and he was like, "I'm not going anywhere. I really enjoy this
Well,
work."
that's great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I guess whatever it is, we were joking a minute ago that millions of dollars in stock.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, he's got it. He's excited to show up to work, to make more chips, to build Apple Silicon.
Yeah. I'll be honest, it's hard to think of a better place to work than Apple. I mean, like, I guess it's really what you want from a job at the end of the day, but when I look at that campus, the new one, that spaceship one, I'm like, that
Yeah.
that looks like a fantasy to to live right there.
Hey, listeners, if you work at Apple, tell us, is it really great?
Yeah. Or does it dull over time like all good things in life?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, work is work. It's a living, even if it is on a beautiful campus. But
It's
yeah,
true.
Johnny Sarugi, if you're listening, call in. Let us know.
Yes. Yeah. I will say, because I didn't get into iOS development until I was about 26, 27.
Yeah.
And so there was a good amount of time that I was, working pretty average job at pretty subpar environments, and the whole like nice office with the ping pong tables and beer on tap and all of that really did speak to me as like a working person, especially
Oh,
in my
yeah.
20s. Um,
Yeah.
I will say it did start to dull over time for me though, like as much as I love a beautiful WeWork office, it
Yeah.
became kind of just a part of the everyday, and the real focus is the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, I sometimes wonder
Yeah.
if that culture and environment will even stick around, especially with the recent changes with, development jobs getting a little harder to get.
Yeah, same as you described. I came out of college and I was not in software.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in the mortgage industry for a little bit. I worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car right out of school,
Mm-hmm.
washing cars, renting cars, selling damage waiver.
Mm.
Um, so like the dream for me was like I just want to get a job where like I'm in a cool office.
Mm-hmm.
And then, lucky enough, iOS was a hit. The
Yeah.
iPhone was there was that gold rush to the App Store,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, for years, I was working in the cool offices.
Yes.
But like you said, there's that hedonism treadmill where it's like you have one perk, and then like
Mm-hmm.
what about the next one? Or like, God, I
Yeah.
remember at Active Campaign, people were like, we don't like these snacks, we like these other
Oh.
snacks, or this seltzer water is too.
Oh no.
This seltzer water isn't as good as the other seltzer water.
LaCroix, that was the popular one I remember.
Yeah,
LaCroix
but
everywhere.
then, God, you got to get that spendthrift. That's the good stuff.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But
Yeah.
then, you're like, you compare that to like, I don't know, hypothetically working in a coal mine or crushing rocks and
Right.
like,
Most jobs
man, this
really.
is this is a great job.
Yeah, it's cushy for sure. I mean, it's no wonder
Yeah.
why so many people like, of course, because it pays good. But when you look at like all of the media on like in documentaries and on YouTube, I
Yeah.
know a lot of people were even posting like a day in the life of a tech worker type,
Yeah.
video, and it's hard not to want that. It's no wonder why so many students started going in that direction, and
Yeah.
those are the same students that are starting to wonder if they'll really be able to get a job in that field now. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. As we've discussed in previous episodes, yeah, with like move to AI and the end of 0% interest rates and the changing in venture capital and private equity, like those same jobs, those same fantasies don't exist anymore in the same way.
Right.
And so, you know, we really, only time will tell, but I don't know if this like boom of software engineering
Mm-hmm.
is like a trend line that continues or
Mm.
part of a, boom and bust. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
in Detroit in the 50s, you worked at GM or
Yeah.
Ford and like that was a great living.
Mm-hmm.
And so like through the 2000s, you worked in software and that was a great living. And then maybe that just doesn't exist in the same way anymore. Maybe it changes, but God, I'll miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there was I remember when I was like just getting out of like high school, maybe they were talking about how like so many coal miners were losing their jobs, and the importance of I forgot the specific term they used, but basically like changing your career or
Yeah.
like learning new skills, reskilling, I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
basically all of these people, that worked this great job for a while, suddenly had to switch up. And it was hard to, or empathize then. I felt bad for them, but at the same time, I didn't really know what that felt like. But now I'm like, oh boy, I feel that pressure now, Didn't expect to, but here it is.
Yeah.
But, for the students out there, the recent graduates who were looking at those cool companies to work at and those cool environments, I will say, like I said earlier, the cool stuff begins to dull over time, and at the end of the day, the place I wanted to work most was at home. Working from home was like the ideal programming job, and so
Yeah.
no better place to work than your own place. Even even compared to some of these fancy offices. Actually, I can't say that. Like I said, I haven't been to the Apple office yet, but as far as I've experienced,
Well, yeah, but you changed, the world changed.
yeah.
Like, even now, like, yeah, if that same job existed where I was in the office 12 hours a day,
Hmm.
getting drunk with my coworkers, playing Bomberman and
Yeah.
Team Fortress between coding jags.
Oh, that sounds
I don't
great.
know. Today, I don't know if I would want to go back to that. Like,
Oh
well,
yeah.
let me just say, I would
Hmm.
not want to do that today. Today, I
Sure.
have
Yeah.
other priorities.
Yeah. Yeah.
But 25-year-old me, whoo,
Right.
loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Fun time while it lasted. It's like it's almost like, I enjoyed my high school years, but I would hate going back to it.
Lord,
I don't know if I
yeah,
could say that about my past jobs. I don't know if I'd hate it, but do
yeah,
I want to go back? Not
yeah,
at all. Not at all.
man. Yeah, you
Um,
can't go through the same stream again.
yeah, yeah. And I hope it's not unpopular to say it, but I've tried to cut back on drinking recently, and so, better not to have alcohol too
Yeah,
easily available.
yep. Gosh,
Yeah.
yeah, things change.
Oh yeah.
I hope that options remain out there because, yeah, for the young person listening that wants to go to an office and party hardy,
Hmm.
I want that job to exist.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's got to exist
and for the people that
somewhere,
want to
right?
work from home, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. And at the end of the day, these are great and valuable skills. You can make some valuable things with these skills, especially in development. And so
yeah,
if there's a specific environment you want, maybe now's a great time to make it yourself.
yeah.
Start planting some seeds. I was browsing Reddit just this past week, and I saw an interesting topic about how the Swift development environment is changing too fast. Uh, Things that were mentioned were Swift UI, compared to UI Kit, combine with all of the observable objects, driving state and UI updates,
Mhm.
and Swift data, which is, of course, replacing core data. And the argument was that if you're in iOS development today, you're spending a lot more time learning these new frameworks and new development paradigms more than you are experimenting with time-tested frameworks that have been around forever, where
Yeah.
there are platforms where you're probably still using the same thing that you were 10, 15, 20 years ago. For iOS, a lot of your production or productive time is spent learning some of these new frameworks, and of course that's going to cut out time from just experimenting with something new, building on top of the old things. I wonder if you had any thoughts about that.
Yeah, yeah, there's the what you described, that classic trade-off between, maintenance
Mm-hmm.
and new features.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all would rather be working on cool stuff, whatever that is, rather than, banging our heads against Xcode P lists and,
Yeah.
build settings.
Parsing documentation.
Yeah. So Apple as a platform owner is not as generous as Microsoft. Like Microsoft still supports you could boot up like a Windows 3.1 app
Mm-hmm.
on Windows 11
Mm-hmm.
if you really wanted to. Like they maintain deep compatibility. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't get it that good on Apple, but like if the software works, it will probably continue to work.
Yeah.
Um, and so, on one hand, I understand it is easier to sort of ride the frontier, like to stay up to date,
Mm-hmm.
than park your code, wait 5 years, and then try to update, everything at once to get it built
Sure.
again.
Yeah.
But, like all of us need to balance those trade-offs because
Mm-hmm.
for your app, maybe it works fine. Maybe the use case, maybe your priorities are work on something else. And so
Mm-hmm.
in that case, core data is still supported. Just to pull
Yes.
that out. UI kit
As
still
well as UI
works.
Kit. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
like
And its notification center.
you can even Objective C will still.
Yeah. Yeah. Objective C
Yeah,
too. Yep.
that's not to say there won't come a point in the future where like Apple says, well, we don't
Mm.
support 32-bit anymore, and then you've got to
Mm-hmm.
rebuild, recompile, resubmit.
Sure.
And maybe a lot of stuff is broken at that point. Or maybe there's a point where, there's a new UI paradigm like liquid glass or a new screen size that you haven't supported explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, the Apple's pretty good about maintaining the platform. So if something works, it will continue to work for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And so each of us needs to sort of look within ourselves and decide what's important to us or our product. What do we really
Sure.
want to accomplish here?
Well,
Um,
yeah, I
yeah.
was curious about your feelings specifically because you mentioned stepping a little bit away from production development into more
Hmm.
management tasks.
Yeah.
If you wanted to tackle a new project today, would you feel burdened at all by the new frameworks that are, the modern stuff, or would you just forget and stick with what you know?
Um, oh, so like if I was going to work on a personal project and I was like, oh, I got an idea for an
Yeah,
app.
or even if you took a contract, any kind of
Yeah, yeah,
development.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I was gonna, I think the answer is the same. Like if it was for a company or a contract or for myself, I would probably start with, what is the current cool, what are most people using? What is Apple recommending?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've talked about this in the past where like when I was starting out, I really wanted Apple to just say, do it this way. Like I wanted
Oh
the
yeah.
correct
Mm-hmm.
way.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a false, it's like that's never going to really happen. Like Apple will
Sure.
provide a bunch of examples
Yeah.
and they might have a bunch of WWDC videos that point you in a direction, but ultimately, you know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
look at what's available and pick the things that work.
Yeah.
There's also meeting in the middle where like uh, if hypothetically if I tried Swift data and it just conflicted with my mental model and I didn't get it after a little bit, I'd be like, well, I'll just go back to core data. Like
Sure.
I
Yep.
still have that Objective C framework over here that
Oh yeah,
still
you've still
compiles.
got that experience and that expertise to tap into if you really want
Yeah,
it. You
yeah.
know, I will say personally, the Swift UI, the combine, less so the Swift data. That's something I'm kind of transitioning into over the past year more so, but definitely Swift UI and combine, uh, kind of, um, uh, hit the reset button for me in terms of like, platform expertise. Because we had a couple of interns that transitioned into junior developers where I was working, and they were really interested in Swift UI, and so we were happy to kind of let them experiment and even try, building some production code with it. And
Hmm.
what I noticed was that while I was capable of reviewing that code, checking and making sure what it was doing, reading the documentation to make sure it, at least from a conceptual standpoint, made sense to me. um, they were kind of coming at this from a whole new angle than I was used to. For example, if they had built it in UI kit and like some of the classic iOS frameworks, I would have immediately had like a kind of knee-jerk reaction to like, yeah, this is the way to do it or this isn't the way to do it. But with Swift UI, it was kind of like, okay, I guess this makes sense, and I don't see anything wrong with this. And but really, what was happening was like these guys were building Swift UI experience and development strategies that I really didn't have much to add to, even as having way more years of experience than them, you know. And so maybe that's one thing to feel good about it if you're in the iOS space as a new developer is that your knowledge of these new frameworks kind of puts you at a similar level of experienced developers, at least in those new frameworks
Yeah.
specifically. But I thought that was kind of interesting to kind of feel like oh maybe in some cases they're getting a better grasp on Swift UI than I was at that time.
Yeah, yeah. There's an old I don't know aphorism, pearl of
Mm.
wisdom, that the difference between a senior engineer and a junior engineer isn't that they know the frameworks, it's
Mm.
that they know how to learn. Like
Oh sure, yeah,
they have
yeah.
strategies for um, understanding frameworks, for time boxing, for evaluating
Mm-hmm.
technologies, and those
Yeah.
heuristics, those shorthands, really make a senior more
Mm-hmm.
effective. um, so many juniors I've worked with struggle with just simply like time boxing or evaluating.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so often they'll try to find like what's the, like I said,
Yeah.
what I felt when I was younger, like what's the right way to do it, what's the best way to do it. But ultimately, like if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Within reason and within the domain of your team you work with.
Yeah.
But yeah, like nobody has a particular advantage on any new technology as it comes out. It's
Right.
just if you've dealt with new technology in the past, then you have a way of evaluating and internalizing it.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes sense. If you've learned a lot of frameworks, if you tried a bunch of different technologies and several different projects, you're going to get a sense of not only the time it takes to implement it, but the time it takes to like ramp up on it and really like get a solid understanding to use it effectively.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and that's something that can kind of be easy to discount or forget about completely as an early developer is the time it really takes to learn something and make sure you're doing it the right way.
yeah,
Because it does add something, especially it front loads, any new thing that you're trying. And much easier to predict how much it's going to front load things when you've already switched to a few new things in the past. I mean,
yeah,
iOS developers are no strangers to new platform changing updates. I remember when Swift
yeah.
came out, that was, like I remember actually the lag it took for a lot of developers to really start adopting it, but eventually it happened, and I was glad when
Hmm.
it did. Yeah,
Yeah.
Objective C is great, but
Well, speaking of adoption, I remember I think this was edited out of our first episode, but you said something really smart. You were like, the real success of liquid glass will be if like it is adopted by the big players.
Right.
Like if Facebook, Google, WhatsApp, Meta,
Mm-hmm.
even OpenAI, like if they in their apps support liquid glass,
Yeah.
then it's probably like there is a pull to
Right.
it. There is hype. It is a trend. And we haven't really seen that. And so like I think about that
Yeah.
when we go back to the Reddit post, like, oh, we have to keep up. You don't really have to keep up. Like
No. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can keep shipping whatever you want as long
Mm-hmm.
as you've got customers or you solve the problem or whatever the reason for your software is. You
Yeah.
can, there's no rule that says a dog can't play basketball or you have to adopt liquid glass.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I was gonna ask you if you had seen it much, because yeah, I haven't seen it much either. At least in the apps that I normally use, outside of
Yeah.
the iOS ones. Like had to get used to it in Apple Music, and calendars and the mail
Yeah.
app. But yeah, for the
But
most
even
part, YouTube looks the same.
yeah, I don't think like numbers or pages, which I drop into occasionally, I
Yeah.
don't think they're using it.
Mm,
Some of the indie apps I use they've trickled out.
sure.
They every couple of weeks there's one that's like, hey, we adopted liquid glass. But yeah, like
Hmm.
I'm in WhatsApp and Signal. Those
Yeah.
those haven't updated.
I did notice, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the company Y Things. They make health related devices, like scales.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yep.
I noticed that they seem to have gone all in on liquid glass. And it's weird looking. Like I don't think I like it. Like maybe I'm just maybe
Uh,
the old way felt a little normal and a little more traditional to me, but it
yeah.
it stood out to me in a way that wasn't like, oh, awesome. It was more like, huh, interesting.
Okay, so that reminds me, I forgot to take note of this, but some of my I guess normal
Uh-huh.
friends and colleagues
Uh-huh.
finally updated to iOS 26 with liquid glass,
Okay.
and the
Mm-hmm.
feedback has been a resounding, "Oh God, what did they do?" Like
Uh
I just get text messages like I know. They're like, "Why did they do this? This sucks." I'm like, "I don't work for
uh
Apple. I don't know."
yeah, yeah,
So I've got that's
yeah.
three people, close friends, that finally updated, and they are not fans. So we can put that in the uh, anti-liquid glass camp.
Yeah. That reminds me, the lead designer of who basically led the charge on liquid glass, he announced his
Yeah.
resignation too.
Oh my gosh, was that
Uh,
between episodes? Yeah, I forgot we didn't even
yeah,
we didn't even talk about that. Yep.
I kind of wonder if well, yeah, I wonder if that might be related. Maybe he feels like he did what he wanted to do. Someone else wants to pay him more. He's gonna take. I think he's moving to Meta.
Yep. Yeah, he's going to
Um,
Meta. Good riddance. Like I I
You're not gonna miss him in the Apple ecosystem.
yeah. Like I know that it's difficult to be an executive. Like I'm sure he tried his best.
Yeah.
But God, the results of his tenure
Hmm.
are not good. Like the software was designed not good. So like,
Yeah.
get out of here.
Oh
I
yeah.
will gladly celebrate his departure. And one day if I'm an executive and I do something like liquid glass,
Uh-huh.
you can all make fun of me too. Like it's fine.
The place I think liquid glass looked best was in those photographs where they would show the very physical versions of it on a tabletop with like
Oh yeah.
literal glass objects sitting over like designs. I'm like, I can see how they sold themselves on this from a very physical standpoint, but I don't think it translated in the 2D space as well.
Gosh. Yeah, we can't spend another 30 minutes ragging on liquid glass.
That's true.
We just can't.
It'd be too easy.
Yep.
The next topic that I wanted to cover was actually one that you mentioned in the past. It had to do with iOS leadership, management,
Hmm.
and how good management gets things done
Yeah.
faster. I was wondering if you wanted to follow up on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, in a previous episode, I alluded to, oh, we'll have a different podcast about why leadership and culture makes the difference with software teams. I started my software career at a digital agency. I was an iOS developer, worked with clients. We shipped a lot of cool apps, and the the difference, like the reason why we ship things, um, was because we had a very clear mission and culture. The leadership team, the executives, we all came together and we said very clearly, like I think it might still be on the internet somewhere. You can see it was like our mission, our business is to bill clients. Like it starts with billing clients.
Hmm.
Second, we want to like make good software.
Yeah.
Uh, and so everything came out of that, and that clarity of purpose and that vision, like that made the difference, I think. And the
I feel like I don't know how I'd like that as a client of that company.
well, but the like, there are so many companies have like wishy-washy values or values that
Hmm.
don't mean anything, or like a
Hmm.
career ladder that they copy pasted. Like if if you have a company and you have a goal, like you should be clear about what that goal is.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and so it's not to say that the whole company existed to build clients. I mean, it
Right.
did, but we didn't tell that to customers. But it was
Okay.
for
This is
for
the
our career
internal
ladder.
goals. Like the customers didn't hear these goals.
Yeah, because if hypothetically, say you show up, you're a iOS developer,
Uh-huh.
and you show up and nobody says no, this is not explicit. So you show up and you say, well, I really like um, building frameworks,
Mm,
or I really like developer productivity,
sure.
or I just really want to learn core data.
Hmm.
Without the explicit, call to action,
I
without the
see.
explicit
Yeah.
values of the engineering team,
Hmm.
everybody just sort of assumes and paints their own, builds their own fantasy.
Right.
And
Their own
so,
direction across the map of where to go.
exactly. And so this helps with hiring and firing too. Like
Hmm.
if you have an engineer that doesn't want to track their time, then this isn't a good place for them to work. Like that
Right.
is just a part of working at a digital services
Oh, yeah.
consultancy.
Yeah.
Uh, and on the other hand, if you have somebody that like, understands, track your time, build a client,
Hmm.
make cool stuff,
Hmm.
then you're off to the races.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
this is, at the peak, my number one, like what makes a good team for me in my experience is this mission. And I've done this at every company I've worked with. It's a different mission, a different strategy,
Hmm.
but I I flip out on other leaders, on other directors and managers and CTOs that
Hmm.
like they think they're clear. I
Mm.
think all of us think we all think our worldview is clear. Why
Right.
doesn't everyone else just follow these arbitrary rules that I came up with?
Yeah, it's hard not
But
to want everyone to be a mind reader.
yeah, but the job of leadership is to spell that out,
Yeah. Yeah.
You so at Active Campaign, like as we bootstrap the mobile teams, we had no real we knew our customers because it was a larger platform.
Hmm.
Customers wanted an app, but it was totally unclear what they wanted out of that app.
Hmm.
So when we started those teams, the goal was we want good reviews
Hmm.
in the App Store and the Play Store, and we want the monthly active users to go up. If
Hmm.
people are using the app, then it is providing some value.
Hmm.
Eventually, we got to better fine-grained goals, but basically that was our temperature.
Hmm.
If these are going up, if the reviews are good, then we're going in the right direction.
Hmm.
And then with that, we also got tons of customer feedback, but like, simple goal. This is what we're doing here. This is
Hmm.
how we measure success.
Okay.
The second piece, so you've got your mission for your organization.
Hmm.
the second piece, the essential piece, is psychological safety.
Oh yeah.
And this isn't just me being some, touchy-feely, bleeding heart hippie. This is borne out by Harvard Business School,
Ooh.
Google's internal research,
Okay.
even Amazon, those vampires have found that if you want a good team, if you want a team to achieve results, they need psychological safety. And that means that the team trusts each other and can be honest with one another.
Mm.
And you can imagine an engineering team without psychological safety will build garbage that nobody wants,
Yeah.
will go down blind alleys,
Mhm.
will not be able to effectively communicate. Because what you need in an engineering organization is engineers that can say, hey, it's a bad idea to do this.
Yeah.
Or I have questions, or I don't know why you're doing this.
Mhm.
And if you can't ask questions and challenge each other and be curious in an authentic way,
Mhm.
then you're going to get bad stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it all boils down to like you have to be able to you have to be able to communicate, feel that freedom to communicate, voice your opinion, really try things. But then second, like along with being able to communicate, you have to communicate well, which it sounds like you're really kind of covering generally with both of those points. Make a space that's safe to communicate, and then especially for lead managers, make sure you communicate really well, especially around your goals and the direction that you'd like to go.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's the two sides,
Mm-hmm.
very, very clear mission. So that's the clear communication,
Mm-hmm.
and then the space to communicate. Because even if, as I set those goals, if I've done my job with the team,
Mm-hmm.
then the organization has the safety to say, hey, Sean, I think that's stupid. Those goals
Sure.
you set out are wrong.
Yeah.
I would say, oh, that's great. Share your perspective. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
And then from that, we should get something better.
And, I've found, at many companies that I've worked at, where there is something that doesn't feel as good as it could be, it's not because someone's decided that it should be that way, but it's because no one has stepped up to make it better yet.
Yep. Yeah.
And so a lot of times, if even if you're not in management, if you have a good idea, if you feel like something could be better, it's great to just voice that. And, in some places they're going to say, we need to focus on other things right now. Let's put a pin on that. But in a lot of places, they actually do want things to be better. You're working with a bunch of engineers, and engineers naturally want to, want things to be done as best as they can while still achieving their goals. But, there's space for suggesting improvements. That's something I really enjoyed about working in the engineering space, because you don't get that in a lot of other jobs,
Yeah. Yeah. If you work, let's say, like if you work at an S tier company, the vision and the values are so clear and they're sort of imbued with everything and every activity. And so any feedback that you as an individual have would already be in line with those values. And it would be a beautiful virtuous cycle. So you would say, what about this? And then the rest of the team would say, yes. And what about that? And then like improvisation, you would have like and I've had a couple times, I've had a team where we reached, nirvana. You get the feedback loops and you're flying and you're working together and you're building something cool and you're talking to customers and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And then like at a mid-tier company, at a B-tier company, like you said, you'll say something and it might not be helpful or it might not be aligned with a goal that's like
Right.
implicit instead of explicit. And you get the like, yeah, that's nice. Thanks. We'll think about it.
Yeah. The best companies will at least ask you to put it in the backlog so you're forced to consider it during backlog cleaning,
Yeah.
But
But then like, hopefully none of us have ever worked at a terrible company, but the terrible company, you say, hey, what about this, boss? Like, I think this is a bad idea. And the boss says, hey, shut up. You're fired. Like that is a clear sign. Like if
I had that kind of boss at a bowling alley once. Granted, I was working at the snack bar, but that was my boss at the bowling alley.
Oh no!
That boss.
God, hopefully it wasn't mission critical. Hopefully nobody's lives were in danger.
Not at all, and in fact, it was a questionable boss at best. He was gone out of there after 3 weeks after I started. So,
Oh, geez. All right. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. Hopefully he's learned.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, I haven't thought about him in a long time, actually.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
So these are just the sort of the tip of the iceberg, like, clear, explicit communication, clear mission, clear values. Like, think about what's important, build a strategy for the company. That's so much easier to say than do. And then psychological safety.
Yeah.
Beyond that, there's still like a million things like to like strategies and heuristics
Hmm.
and good taste and ways of working that make good software. But at the top, if you can start with that
Hmm.
as any sort of leader, then you will get better results. Like
Yes.
it will be a better place to work. You'll get better software. You'll get a better product.
Right.
But like I said, this is just the start.
Right.
I could spend a million years talking about all the details beyond that.
Yeah, yeah. And in case the bingo guys missed it, there was good taste again from Sean. I feel like we got to get like an episode, or maybe that would be a good NSCoders presentation from you. Good taste. What
Yeah.
exactly is
All
good
right.
taste?
I'm writing that down. Good taste.
Yes. So recently, Google announced that they their Android software plays well with AirPlay now. You can actually share media from Android phones to Apple devices using AirPlay. That includes iPhones, iPads, and even Macs. And I thought this was interesting because I think it was the MKBHD podcast that I was watching. I think I'm not sure if it was them or another one, but wherever I saw this from, they reached out to Google to find out like if they worked with Apple on this. Basically, if Apple had given them some kind of API to do this or not, if they did it with permission or not. And they mentioned that they did this all on their own accord with their own technology. Uh, they also emphasized that they were very careful about security, including passing it by their own internal security people and third-party security testers, just for anyone who might be worried about that. But basically, they came up with their own solution to share content with Apple devices through AirPlay, which up until recently has been very
Well,
proprietary.
sorry to interrupt. You keep saying AirPlay. It's AirDrop.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, AirDrop.
AirPlay is a different thing.
Thank you for that correction. AirDrop. I wrote it here as AirPlay. That's why I keep saying that. Thank you.
Yeah.
AirDrop.
Yeah, AirDrop.
And so not AirPlay. Android isn't working with AirPlay. They're working with AirDrop now. You can now AirDrop items from Android devices to Apple devices. And yeah, it's their own solution. I thought that was really interesting. Used to be proprietary. It makes me wonder if Apple might try to do something to block that feature in the future. But I guess that would only be a win for Google and Android because they're trying to be more accessible. They've been trying for a while to be more accessible, including with texting. I think they were way ahead of Apple on the rich text messages. I forgot exactly what it's called.
Oh,
RCS?
RCS.
Yeah.
Yep, RCS. There's a great article on Ars Technica. If you look for AirDrop, Wi-Fi standards, Pixel, you'll find it on Ars Technica.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why this is possible now is because Apple previously used Apple Wireless Direct Link to facilitate a connection.
Mm.
Apple was involved in the development of a new standard called Wi-Fi Aware. So Wi-Fi Aware got input from Apple. So chances are it was based on the work that they did with their proprietary technology.
Right.
But now that it's public, anyone can support it. So I think I don't know if anyone's gotten a comment from Apple, but I think because all parties connect to the standard, the Wi-Fi aware standard, this should work, and other phones should be able to come to it as well.
Okay. Yeah, hard not to wonder if Apple realized they were making, or they were cool with making this available to more devices.
Yeah, yeah.
But I did also hear that along with that technology that is enabling this, that I think it was the EU basically strong-armed Apple into the more general solution.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to know because like the EU will probably claim victory.
Sure.
I think in some of the coverage they say, "Oh, Apple did this because of the EU," but
Okay, yeah.
ch chances, I mean, maybe I'm giving Apple too much credit, but like I think it is a better decision for customers, and
Mm-hmm.
they didn't just support it in the EU, they support it everywhere. Like Apple helped to develop the standard, Apple launched it. It's backwards compatible to the iPhone 12.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Um, so any phone that can run iOS 26, I think should support this new AirDrop.
Well, should it
Um,
even be called AirDrop anymore? If Android's has their own solution for it.
yeah, what does Android call it? They call it Quick Share.
Do
So,
they? Okay.
yeah. So similar or same technology behind the scenes, but yeah, AirDrop and Quick Share,
Wow.
cross compatible.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
like the I remember maybe we all remember the
Hmm.
bad old days of proprietary Apple stuff.
Hmm.
And I'm not even talking about Lightning. Like Lightning,
Oh
pretty good.
yeah.
Thunderbolt, pretty good. Like Apple has in the last 10-15 years
Uh-huh.
sort of pushed a proprietary thing because the standard thing isn't good enough or doesn't meet their needs or isn't thin enough.
Oh yeah.
But then
Yeah.
they work with the public bodies to
Mm-hmm.
have a standard.
Mm.
And so, like similar to USB-C, I think EU would probably say, "Oh, Apple supported USB-C because of us."
Yeah.
But I think USB-C was thin enough, fast enough, good enough. It supported Thunderbolt. Like, I feel like Apple probably would have gotten there. This isn't
Mm.
like 2000 when Apple had like the Apple display connector that
Sure.
like only worked with their three monitors.
I think we have different takes on this. So there are two things. First, I remember reading about Apple wanting to go a different direction where they didn't have any inputs at all on the iPhone. They wanted to go completely wireless, or at least
Hmm.
if there is a wire, it's magnetic.
Yeah.
And then second, I remember an interview with, I think it happened shortly after one of the dubs, WWDC. There was a follow-up interview that mentioned that Apple could be forced to adopt USB-C across their devices. And when they were asked about that, there was a kind of reluctant, if they make us, they'll make us, you
Yeah.
know?
Yep.
And
Yeah, I remember that.
it felt very reluctant in a way that I think they wanted to keep the proprietary plug, but that they were going to do what they had to continue selling in those countries. And I actually have some feelings about this too. I I think that Apple did as much as they needed to for the Lightning cable, in terms of data transfer and power transfer, but they didn't have a lot of incentive to keep developing it further. And that is different from USB-C, which has, been increasing in speed and power, and just use across many different devices. USB-C as a technology continued to evolve, while Lightning kind of stopped because Apple didn't need to evolve it much more. And maybe they would have pretty soon here because quick charging became a thing. I don't think Lightning is capable of that.
No,
Um,
it's not.
and so
So
maybe
I'm
they would have had to at some point, but up until the point that they switched, I don't think they had to evolve Lightning, and I think that's part of the reason why the world demanded, "Hey, USB-C is better, and it's going to mean less cables for us. Please switch to that." And and I think they had a very hard time arguing against that.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, so in your hypothetical, because like I agree, like Lightning capped out at USB 2 speeds,
I think so,
and
yeah.
couldn't do fast charging.
Hmm.
It was thin.
It's thinner than USB-C, yeah. It's actually, if you look at it, it almost looks like a reverse USB-C. Like
Yeah, yeah,
USB-C looks like the wrapper for what would be Lightning in the middle.
yeah. Well, I mean, Apple was deeply involved in the design for
Exactly.
USB-C, so
Yep, they helped to
maybe
make
they
it,
were
yeah.
like, "We made this Lightning thing. We learned what's good, what's bad."
Yeah, now here's
But
our
I'm
version.
curious because as you lay it out, like you think, I don't know if it's the tail wagging the dog or the dog wagging the tail, but yeah, the EU says USB-C for everyone, and so Apple
Hmm.
says, they do their calculators, and they say, okay, we should launch USB-C, like it's good enough, it's fast enough, it does these things.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, if you can imagine a fantasy world where the EU had not said that,
Hmm.
I feel like at some point, because this was before the iPhone Pro came out, I think. I'd have to
Uh-huh.
check the timelines. But
Mm.
like, at some point, I, I think Apple still would have gone and launched a iPhone Pro.
Mm.
And so for the iPhone Pro, part of the value proposition is it supports faster data rates.
Yeah, and it did so before
Um,
Lightning, before USB-C was required. I remember having an iPad Pro with USB-C before all of that happened, and
okay.
it was not as capable of a USB-C as today's is.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
they continued. And the iPad Pro has Thunderbolt, right? Like it can do
yeah.
even beyond USB speeds with the same
Mm-hmm.
connector. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And so they've been interested in it for a while.
Yeah, and I will never know from the outside, but like I am curious internally, like USB-C was out. Did they see the writing on the wall? Did they follow the EU? If the EU hadn't done anything, would they still have done it? Or maybe
Right.
because of the EU, it accelerated plans, and then because they had USB-C, then they were like, "Oh, we should make this Pro phone do other stuff." Like I
Yeah.
don't know.
There was a time where I would have given Apple more credit. Um, but I think I
Yeah.
mentioned this in the last episode. I think Apple in some places is kind of resting on its laurels. If it doesn't need to update some things, it won't.
Oh yeah,
At the
yeah,
end of the day, they've been pushing the value of Apple stock up and up. It's, like
yeah.
it's been doing great. It's like way better off financially than it was with Steve Jobs. I think that's one of their main goals. And one of the cases that illustrates this perfectly for me is the AirPods Max.
Oh yeah,
Those headphones, first, they're ridiculously expensive. So, you'd
yep.
expect like some really good like design and planning to go into it, which appears to be true for the first generation. But then the second generation, they changed nothing but the port. And it almost feels like that could have been because of the EU requirement. And it also feels like it could be because they felt like they didn't need to update it.
Oh yeah.
AirPods Pro and the other AirPods, lines, they've gotten really great feature updates over the past few years. AirPods Max, they're kind of just okay to let it float.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because the audience isn't that big, but I don't know. I see a lot of AirPod Maxes at the airport. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I I think of my precious HomePods.
Hmm.
I love the old HomePods. I wish Apple would, put a ton of engineers, hardware and software on it and just make it
Uh-huh.
good as heck, Imagine
Right, yeah.
if HomePods got the attention that the AirPods Pros
Uh-huh.
got,
Yep.
we would have had 4 generations already.
Oh yeah, yeah. And there really is a feeling of like, hey, this is good. In fact, it's so good that nothing else in the industry really touches it yet. Let's just leave it alone.
Yeah.
That's the Vision Pro right now too, They've
Oh yeah,
updated the
yeah.
processor, but besides that, new headband, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, giving them the benefit of the doubt, assuming the best. I
Uh-huh.
think Apple only enters into a new product line if if they know they're gonna support it. Like a
Mm.
product is a promise
Yeah.
and it will be supported.
Yeah.
But support doesn't mean improve. Support just means support. So
That's
like
true.
my
Yep.
first generation HomePods continue to work.
Mm-hmm.
They're connected to my Apple TV upstairs. Like
Yeah.
They work. It's fine. Apple's not going to sell me out and delete it like some other companies.
I guess this is where I'd say they've changed from the Steve Jobs leadership, because Steve Jobs was all about making you fall in love with the product, you know.
Well, but they also had a lot less products then.
That's true. Yeah, he really cared about a very simple line. I wonder what he'd think today, even though I don't think it's that bad. But I think one of the things about loving your product is feeling like it's fresh and it's new, and that adds to the excitement of it, you know.
Yeah.
Um, when it's been the same thing for the past 5 years, I mean, you know, you don't want to say
Yeah.
this about other loved ones. I mean, I hope it's not true for other loved ones, but after a few years, a product, you know, really starts to feel dull and like every day, you know, that it loses that kind of fresh excitement.
Yeah.
And I don't think Steve Jobs ever said that you have to update your product every year for it to be something that you love. But I think he understood that at an intuitive level, which is why we saw such frequent updates to so many Apple products, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I think the goals changed under Tim Cook, where it's kind of like, hey, if we're doing good, you know, don't fix what doesn't need to be fixed. But that focuses a little bit more on wise management, including financial management, right?
Hmm.
Than it does on making sure you're in love with the product as much as possible, you know.
Yep.
I do like my AirPods Max, but
Yeah.
they look different today than they did on day one, you know, like
Yeah.
years ago. I've still got the Lightning ones, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing that's making me feel like they are the latest and greatest and best. I mean, I do prefer them still, you know, where I can use them because, you know, it's easier to use for some devices than others.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have that excitement, you know?
Yeah.
Not like the Vision Pro had when it came out and is waning today with the barely updated new version,
Yeah.
but yeah, I miss that excitement with most of Apple's products, at least their flagship products, you know, the really tall order ones.
Yeah. And it's silly from the outside because Apple has billions of dollars in cash just lying around.
Hmm.
That they do the stock buybacks. They're trying to run their cash down. They have too much cash, and so I'm like, well, why don't you take $1 billion of those dollars and just make the best, like invest in the things that you don't really. But that's not how it works because they're probably looking at the balance sheet and they're like, well,
Yeah,
based on our research, if we, update the AirPods Max, we'll sell 4% more.
yeah.
And it's just there. Then somebody's like, it's not worth it.
They've got more to risk than to gain, probably. That's why you need that like passionate person who doesn't care about any of that, who just wants to feel proud that they did something notable, you know?
Yeah. That's, I can imagine the team meeting for the AirPods team is like, okay, team, we launched the threes and people love them. Yay. We launched the Pro fours and people love them. Yay. And then we got the Max over here and it's fine and don't worry about it. And everyone's like, oh.
I'd imagine it to just be crickets in the crowd. So awkward
Yeah.
silence, really?
Or they don't even mention it. And there's one poor engineer that had to ship a firmware update, and he was like, "Don't forget the Max."
uh, that's the interesting thing is they've got these products that appear to go unupdated for so long. But then under the hood, I've been surprised at some of the other updates they've made. So, for example, we were talking about USB-C. Over the years, they've added so much compatibility to that, to the device drivers that they've maintained over the years. So I had a microphone, one of the first Blue Yeti Pro microphones, which stopped working because for whatever reason their driver was out of date or unsupported by newer versions of Mac OS. It didn't work for like a good year or so, and I just kind of forgot about it in the closet. I tried it again a few months ago, and apparently it works again. And I can only assume that's because Apple decided to support that driver again, along with probably many others out there, you know. And it gives me this feeling that there's probably someone in Apple that's like, hey, let's make this as compatible as we can so that it just works for everyone, you know.
Hmm.
Um, I've been surprised at how well they keep up in some areas like that, and then like it seems stagnant in other areas, even more visible areas, you know.
Yep. Yeah, very difficult to understand their priorities from the outside because what was it, Pro Audio on the iPad came,
Hmm.
they added a bunch of the simultaneous recording and
Hmm.
more USB. What, I forget what they call it. There's like a spec. So if your thing supports the spec, whatever your USB thing is, whether it's a camera, microphone, or whatever, it should
Hmm.
just work.
Hmm.
Like you said, they added a bunch of support for that.
Hmm.
Um, but why? Like who internally was like, iOS devices need to do some more stuff. We'll support this now. Like why now
Yeah.
versus
Maybe it was the
5
hardware
years ago?
guys. We were talking about how
Yeah.
the hardware guys seem to be killing it recently. They're doing great. Maybe there's still someone in hardware that knows how to make a really great product, you know?
Yeah.
Still keeping the ball moving.
This week we got our first feedback. One was
Woohoo!
from Eric, our host at Expedia. Eric said, "Hey, thanks for the shout out." So now we've got recursive shout outs. Hey, Eric,
Yay!
thank you for thanking us.
Yeah, thank you for thanking us. Thank you for
And
actually
then,
commenting.
yeah. And then I mentioned this podcast to my friend Mark, and I had said on the last episode, tell us, anybody, do you use Apple News? And we also talked about what's the new It platform.
Hmm.
And my friend Mark wrote in and said, nobody uses Apple News. He doesn't use Apple News. So thanks. We now have a sample size of 3 or 4. Uh, and then he turned me on. He said the new It platform these days, and we talked about this in the last episode. New It platform, from his point of view, is Roblox. Like if you want
Right.
to build something quick, cool, get to a huge audience, make some money, like Roblox is where the cool kids are at.
And my
And
feeling is like
yep,
everyone who's into Roblox will agree with that, but anyone who's not into Roblox is like, what?
yeah, it's very much like, I think if you have children of a certain age, I imagine you can't avoid Roblox. Like it's everywhere. It's your life.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but yeah,
they're
like
a unique kind of service in that they work more as a platform because you can find so many different types of games and services on there.
yeah,
It's one of those places where it's not a very specific game. Like, I love Minecraft, and you can do so much with Minecraft, but at the end of the day, you're just stacking virtual blocks. Roblox, despite the name sounding very similar, is very different. It's got a huge economy. It's got a huge user base,
yeah,
and it's got money flying around in there.
yeah. It's billions, multiple billions of dollars in revenue flying through it. So yeah,
Shoot.
Roblox is where the kids are.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that might be some good inspiration for any entrepreneurs out there. Check out
Man,
Roblox.
yeah, maybe I should look at Roblox for building out.
You know, I think I'm gonna. It's not my style exactly.
Thank you, Mark and Eric, for writing in. Really appreciate the feedback.
Yes. Thank you for the involvement, and feel free anyone else, including you two again, to comment, and we'll try to keep a good audience engagement here.
Yeah,
So thanks.
yeah.
Welcome to
NSCoder Chicago.
welcome to
NSCoder Chicago.
welcome, 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 welcome.
Well, that's it for this week on the NSCoder Chicago podcast. If you're listening to this as it comes out, we have a annual holiday party on the 16th of December at Logan Arcade. All are welcome. You know, if you're interested in the platform, if you're an Apple dev or just an Apple enthusiast, come on by. More than welcome. Say hi. Um, After that, we'll be breaking for the holidays, and then in January, we'll be back to our regular schedule meeting on the last Tuesday of every month. Of course, if you want to learn more about NSCoder Chicago and our community, look for us at nscoder-chicago.com. Google NSCoder Chicago, Mac iOS Dev Meetup. And of course, on meetup.com, meetup.com, look for NSCoder Chicago, and you'll find us there. You can send us a message and see upcoming events. So we'd love to see you.
Yes, hope to see you there. And thanks for listening.
Yep, thanks for listening. I've been Sean Walter.
And I've been David Vision. We'll see you next time.